Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. I just want to say some final words about Seller Sessions live from the weekend. That's if my voice can hold up. I think you can hear it. So just wanted to say a big thanks to all the speakers, my team, and of course the amazing attendees. So leading up to the event, we had some dramas behind the scenes. One of the things we had which makes people laugh is that all the lanyards and all the pens and pads, all the branded items, nearly never made it to the event on the Saturday. They were ordered from Spain and they were stuck over there. So I'm pulling out the remainder of my hair on Wednesday night, looking at TNT shipping, and it's basically saying on there, collecting rather than collected, and we couldn't speak to the factory and God knows what. But lo and behold, we managed to get that into the UK on the Thursday, and then I dragged that all, because of the way everything went, I ended up taking an Uber with loads of roller cases with 200 pads and pens and all the lanyards and the badges and getting all the printing done. It was a bit of a nightmare. So then gets to the hotel, and then I get this call or message from Casey to say that he's delayed. So Casey's then due in 8 a.m. on Saturday, just like a few hours before he's due on stage. So managed to get that to smooth over. He arrived in 8 a.m. like he said he would. We sent him off to bed for a couple of hours so he's prepared, and he come and killed it later. But big shout to Steve Simonson as well. He was moaning that he's flying by coach. He hasn't done that in 10 years, but in all seriousness, the stuff that he does and the help he gives to the community is unparalleled, and it was a pleasure to have him come over. Also, a special mention to Paul Rafelson for taking the red eye as well. He came over on the red eye to help sellers. He picked up a load of tabs as well, food and drinks, and so he's very helpful on a day. So I want to say a big thank you for that. So it did get very stressful on the day as well, because the aircon had not been turned on for the previous 6 months. So basically a complete schoolboy error. We've got all of these checklists, a team in place, 7 months of planning to execute on one day, and it could have brought the whole show down. So managed to get that resolved, but we'll make sure there's improvements on next year. I was also really happy with the speaker contributions and content, and along with my co-host Athena Severi as well. She's done a great job. Big mention to Dan Ashburn. He did a great job co-hosting. He was on the panel, and Ellis Whitehead done a fantastic job as well. People were really enjoying his insights, and he got some amazing scoring on the feedback forms that everyone completed. The other thing, going back to Steve Simonson, so Steve celebrated his birthday. He asked me not to embarrass him, so we dragged him on stage, and then the whole room sung happy birthday to him, so he won't thank me much for that. The other thing is the after networking was complete carnage. So we had 4 main venues where a lot more people come than expected, so they were spilling out onto the streets. It was glorious sunshine for a change in London. The vibe was just phenomenal, and people well oiled with their cocktails and the like. So some disappeared for some top-up fish and chips, traditional in the UK, whilst others went off to watch the Champions League. So then the groups were split up and then headed to the second venue, which Richard took care of, and then I took a group to the warehouse party. So you can imagine trying to guide dozens of lubricated sellers in Ubers was a little bit of hard work. On top of that, I sneaked off after the fish and chips for a quick shower, and I thought it would be a great idea just to lay down for a couple of minutes. Then 45 minutes later, I've load of missed calls. I woke up in a panic, and I had to get down to the meeting point. So the warehouse party was fun, but it wasn't everyone's cup of tea. But you have to try these different things out. Good side of it, I had a AAA pass, so I took Paul Rafelson into the DJ booth so he could catch a vibe from a DJ's perspective. There's some videos that he's recorded on Facebook in some places. So then what happened is we stayed there to about 3, I think it was, and then Richard moved the remaining sellers to the 24-hour venue for the second after party for some food and drinks. So I met him there with Leanne and a few others, and then we set up on my laptop watching the Anthony Joshua fight, and we were tethering off Richard's phone. But basically it was a near perfect 24 hours until Joshua lost. My main takeaways, I suppose, from it, 3 key things: content, community, and networking. So leave it there. There's some sound bites from the event that's coming after this commentary here. Thank you again, everyone that's supported us, even those who didn't attend but have been supporting the cause and been tuning in to Seller Sessions. This is all about you. Thank you.
So how are you finding the event so far? What's the vibe? What are you getting from it?
You can see the vibe. It's brilliant. Everybody's talking. I've talked to half the room already. It's fantastic.
Yeah, but what do you think about the networking session?
There's so much information floating around this room, and that's where you learn a lot of the stuff. It's great.
How are you finding the event so far?
Pretty value-packed in terms of the actual content presentations. It also helps that I know like 12 people here, so that's nice. And it's cool to see the whole England crew, I guess, turn out, the whole British crew.
Yeah, because there's a strong sense of community, isn't there?
Yeah, it's nice to see, because like Danny said, it's kind of lacking here, so having this finally come together is really nice. A lot of these things with the Facebook chat and the bots and everything is really eye-opening for me, and I've heard about it, but to see it spoken about with such authority and kind of experts really brings it to another level.
So what did you think of the event so far?
It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I mean, I've known Danny quite some time, so knew that whatever he put on was likely to be great, and he hasn't disappointed. So.
What's your favourite part about the event? You know, is it the networking? Is it the speakers? Is it?
It's the balance of it, actually. It's the fact that you've got both. You've got the opportunity to learn new stuff and also to network with people and just chat. And yeah, it's great. It's a nice community.
Definitely. You certainly get that community feel. How are you finding it so far? What's the event sort of vibe you're getting?
Well, it's going to get wild later, isn't it? That's for sure. That's why I came. No, I'm joking. It's been really good, really informative, obviously. Danny's done a good job putting everything on. He's done a good job with the event. So
I think that's the main thing about an event. You have to buy into it, as in, the feel of it, definitely.
He's a top guy, obviously, he has, a no-bullshit approach. So, people trust him, and you don't try and sell stuff all the time. And
anything in particular you could take away from this? Any key points that you thought were really valuable?
I think all so far, I think Paul gave the chatbot stuff.
What sort of vibe are you getting from the event today?
I'm loving this event. Everyone's sharing information. I flew all the way from Brooklyn.
In particular, what sort of techniques would you take away? Because you asked quite a few questions in the Q&A. So is there anything that you've sort of grabbed and you're going to implement the next day into your business?
Yeah, definitely. So far, my favorite session was Paul Harvey at the chatbots. I think it has the most potential because nobody's doing this right now. I've been talking to a lot of sellers, even the big sellers. They're not implementing any of this right now. So I think that's where the biggest edge lies in doing what other people aren't. And he made it so easy with the pre-made templates. So you just got to plug it in, and that's it. So I think that's the first thing that I could just try out, and I think it'll be very good.
And what's different from this event to any other event?
Well, I've never been to an event in the UK, but what's different? Well, it's a lot of information just packed into one day. You meet everybody, take all the info, and then you can go and implement it. So I like that.
It's really good. I think it brings a lot of value, not only because it's telling you from step to step what to do, but it's also planting a seed what kind of stuff you can do. So it's really important to have even when you work, you need to have hour or two of your time to think about possibilities, how to improve your business. And these people that talk today, they kind of planted a seed and told you what kind of stuff you can do in the future. That it's a really good event. I really like what's going on at the moment.
And what makes this event so unique compared to others?
Well, I think the speakers are really good. So as well, I think that they're high-end, and networking is really good. As you can see, everybody's talking to each other, so it's really good. And I have a lot of friends in the community, so it's a really good timing to talk to everybody and to have fun, basically.
Hi, how have you found this event today so far? What's the vibe been like? What have you learned?
It's been really good. There's been a lot of people from all over the world, and that's been one of the most benefits for me is coming and networking and meeting those people. There's also a lot of familiar faces around the room.
Okay, guys, we just wrapped at Seller Sessions 2019. We're going to be back next year, 2020, bigger and stronger. New date, put this in your diary, May 9th, Saturday, May 9th, 2020. We're going to do this all again. Thank you for everyone attended. I look forward to seeing you all next year. Take care. I think what I'd like to say about key takeaways of the day, it seemed that everyone enjoyed themselves. We're going to look at the feedback forms. That's really going to be your confirmation. But a lot of people have been open and sharing. We're going to get to the second part, which is the networking. But I think the technical information that was provided today was very paramount. And it's important about getting education. And I keep saying we want to get the right education here in the UK because they're spoilt in the US. So we finished off with a really good panel, very thoughtful. We're talking about the algorithm, where things are going in the future. And I'm looking forward to the future, what's happening on Amazon. I think, we're on the ground floor at the moment. And so I'm just, it's very early days in e-commerce. I think Amazon's going to keep growing. And I think more and more brands will get involved and grow on Amazon. And I think it makes a lot of people wealthy. We've got lots of 6, 7 and 8 figure sellers here. They change their jobs, they change their life, they change their career, and they're all part of this mini community that we have around the world. Well, with the UK, where we're at the moment is that we've been developing it for the last 3 or 4 years with the podcast, this free content, high level content. The event was like a celebration. The event was about, can we raise the bar in the UK? Can we bring superstars over or big names in the community over to speak at an event in London with a cost affordable price? If you put this event on in the US, you'll get charged $1,000 plus for it because they are the costs. But I don't think when you're building something in the UK, it takes time to reach that point. And that point is starting to come now, and you're getting more and more, the community's growing, US is much larger, more sellers, etc. So it took us 7 months to sell out the event, right? But it took a long time to bang the drum to get people to go, right, this is what we're trying to achieve. Come and celebrate with us, and let's carry on building what we're trying to build here in the UK. And, other people will also pick up the baton. This event isn't been about making money. I'll be happy just to break even, but break ground at the same time. Yeah, it's varied. Some are mainly 6, 7, 8 figure sellers from 6 or 7 different countries. And yes, there's going to be a few newbies, but there's plenty of events for newbies, but this was actually tailored for more advanced sellers to put them all together, because when you put people in the room, there's a saying that you're the average of the 5 people you spend most time with. I always try to go into a room where they're far smarter than me, because while they're far smarter than me, what happens is I learn faster. I have to contribute. I think people have misgivings about learning and they think it's a one-way traffic. It's not. If you want to speak to a 7 or 8 figure seller and you're a 6 figure seller, you must turn up with some value. You must offer first before you ask. I'm a big proponent and a believer in pay it forward, and so are a lot of the people here. And, community is king and queen. Yeah, I mean, I get to see it every day. I'm close to the action. I have great relationships. The speakers come over. I've seen all the slides before everyone else has. Does that make sense? So we talk about the content, making sure the content doesn't clash. So I'm quite privy to most of the stuff that's gone on, Well, the big thing that we were speaking about was voice search. And now that's going to impact things, because that changes the game, because obviously people are working on the visual side of things, right? So they're talking about your product images, like you've got annotated images, you've got lifestyle images, and you're thinking on a keyword basis in terms of what you type, written words as they're structured. But when you're shouting at Alexa, it's a different story.